how do I create the wealth for my family? And knowing that real estate is going to kind of provide that freedom and that cash flow to do that, where we kind of changed our focus throughout our journey to really focus on multifamily, doing those larger 150 unit plus deals, because there's so much more scalability, control,
Mhm.
and um, opportunity to put in your own effort to get out the value that you're looking for compared to other investment opportunities, whether it be smaller real estate or commercial, or even investing in the stock market. And so we've been on this journey for quite some time. Love every minute of it.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome to the Wealth of Real Estate Investing podcast. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke. And today we have Danny Randazzo. Danny is a multifamily real estate investor, author, and managing partner of passiveinvesting.com, a firm that acquires institutional quality multifamily assets throughout the United States. Danny, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And how are you?
Dwaine, I am great. Thank you so much for having me on. Grateful to be here and talk to the listeners about wealth and real estate, two of my most passionate topics of conversation.
Awesome. Well, before we get started, if you mind kind of sharing about your background, I know we kind of talked about it a little bit on the pre-call, but would you be able to share that with our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background, as most listeners, is very similar to having that drive towards wealth and freedom and achieving it through real estate. So prior to my full-time entrepreneurship journey of being a real estate investor and multifamily syndicator, I worked in corporate America as a financial consultant, traveling around the country and around the world, helping multi-billion dollar companies improve their business operations and their financial performance. So, utilizing that kind of background and analytics brain and the spreadsheets and everything, I knew that real estate was a channel or an opportunity to really grow the wealth. And when I think about wealth, I think about it in terms of income streams, to grow those income streams, to eventually replace my consulting income with income streams from investments where you don't have to exchange your time for money anymore. And so that path kind of set my wife and I off, and we are just relentless and diligent in achieving what we put our minds to. And so we naturally learned a ton about the real estate business. We have a very colorful background in terms of what we've purchased and sold and invested in. And using that experience of doing commercial deals, doing single family foreclosures, some light renovations, some Airbnb investing, some small multifamily investing, and larger multifamily investing, we've really identified for us personally and our kind of time and return on investment that we need to remain focused on large multifamily assets. And that's where we co-founded the company along with my two partners, Dan and Brandon, passiveinvesting.com, where we solely focus on multifamily value add opportunities across the Southeast US. And I know we'll get into a little bit more detail about our company and what we do today, but the reason I bring that up now is because, again, my background, it was focused on how do I create the wealth for my family, and knowing that real estate is going to kind of provide that freedom and that cash flow to do that, where we kind of changed our focus throughout our journey to really focus on multifamily, doing those larger 150 unit plus deals, because there's so much more scalability, control,
Mhm.
and um, opportunity to put in your own effort to get out the value that you're looking for compared to other investment opportunities, whether it be smaller real estate or commercial or even investing in the stock market. And so we've been on this journey for quite some time. Love every minute of it. Certainly ups and downs, but it keeps us going and we stay focused on it.
Nice. Yeah, I like how you ended it. You kind of mentioned kind of the control compared to other types of investments. Speaking of kind of the control, like with the numbers and everything, what is kind of like your role in the company?
My role within the company is basically everything finance related. So I oversee our deal underwriting. And basically, what that is when we are looking to purchase an asset, we'll qualify, first the location, does it meet our criteria? And then we'll look at the numbers. So, how much income do we expect this property to generate? What are our expenses? What's our net operating income going to be? And how much value add opportunity is there for the investment? And then if that qualifies and meets our criteria, we move forward, we'll put an offer on it and hopefully close on the asset. And then I also oversee our business plan implementation from an asset management side. So once we've closed the deal, now we need to actually do the business plan and do those value add activities. And so I help oversee things from a financial perspective to make sure that, number one, our projects are on time and on budget. Number two, that we're hitting our income and expense targets that we've budgeted for in our underwriting to make sure that we can achieve our business plan. So in addition to those two kind of major roles with our deals, I also work with our lenders, our attorneys, our insurance brokers, related to adequate coverage, protection, CPAs from a legal and tax perspective for all of our assets, and additionally investor relations. Right, everyone is kind of in that customer service role,
Hmm.
and so I work with investors and help them answer any questions that I can, or do whatever it takes to continue to build our brand at passiveinvesting.com.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like you have your hands in a lot of different important roles within the company. Um, but kind of before getting a little bit deeper, I was curious about your business model. Are you guys just straight sponsors? You guys raise the money, do all the stuff yourself, or do you guys also joint venture with other sponsors and do things like that?
From a structure perspective, we are the main sponsors on every deal that we put together. We have done some co-sponsors in the past with other, partners, and when a deal makes sense, it's certainly a team sport when you are doing multifamily syndication or purchasing these large assets, and so there is a plethora of people, teammates to work with, either vendors or partners. And so, we certainly evaluate every opportunity that exists because, first and foremost, we're investors ourselves. Every single deal that we put together, we invest our own hard earned money right alongside our investors. And so, what that allows us to do is have an alignment of interest. And really, we take the view of an investor first and say, is this a good deal that we want to be a part of? And if it is, let's make this thing happen and make sure that we have all of the support that we need to close the deal. And so, to answer your question again, yes, we are the lead sponsors on the deal, but we, certainly understand it's a team game and bring the appropriate people in as we need them.
Awesome. As far as kind of like your portfolio, like how many units do you guys currently have now?
We have over 2,000 units now. We've got about 200 plus million under ownership, management, however you want to say it. And we've been really focused on the growth a lot. So our goal this year for 2019, we wanted to close $100 million worth in our own main sponsored deals. And we will hit that target by October and exceed that target by about 15 or $20 million. So we've had a very good year. We we do that by having very strict criteria. So if a deal does not qualify and meet what we're looking for, or it's not in the market that we're in, we don't really spend any time on it. And so it allows us to really be focused and determined to buy assets in the markets that we want.
Like that. Yeah, just kind of piggybacking off that to my next question, as far as kind of your criteria. I know you guys are heavily invested in a whole bunch of different states. Is there, particular states, if you can name a few, kind of like expand on that? And as far as kind of, is it 100 plus units, 200 plus units that you guys are looking at?
Yeah, our criteria from the highest level is we look at cities that have job growth and population growth. And so the cities that we look at: Orlando, Florida; Jacksonville, Florida; Raleigh and Charlotte, North Carolina; Charleston and Greenville, South Carolina; and Atlanta, Georgia. So those are the main markets. Across the Southeast US, there's a ton of job growth and population growth. So our high level economic factors look really good for those markets. And then our, next level criteria is we're looking at deals that are above $30 million in purchase price. And we look for strictly B class assets in very good parts of these cities. And so a B class asset is probably something that was built between 1990 and 2005, give or take 5 years, that needs to be renovated. And typically what a renovation would look like is new flooring, new paint, new appliances, new countertops, possibly cabinets or refacing old cabinets. But what we go for is that B class asset where we can go in and do a very repeatable process to increase the value or increase the rent that each unit rents for by putting in those new upgrades and those renovations to it. And so for that, again, we only look at B class assets that have that value add opportunity, because that's our whole business model. Is we want to go in, we want to be able to do the work ourselves. Not that we're, laying flooring ourselves, but we can go in with our teams and get those value add projects done, increase the rents, manage the property efficiently from an expense standpoint, and increase the overall net operating income, because multifamily assets trade and are valued just like a business would. So it's all based on how much income they generate on an annual basis. And if we can add value to it, it is an exponential way to create value and create equity for our investors.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Is there any kind of projects that you can probably think off the top of your head that you did some changes that kind of paid off very big?
Obviously doing the renovation work. So the paint, the flooring, the appliances, all inside of the units is something that's great. I'm trying to think of a creative one. I'll say the one thing that we're exploring right now for some of our assets is to actually set up our own internet service. And what you can basically do is you can buy your own fiber optic lines, get them installed, and then you can broadcast your own internet. So you don't have to go
Wow.
through Spectrum or Comcast or whoever else the local internet providers are. And it may cost you $10 or $15 a unit, but at the same time, every single person in the community is probably paying $50 to $100 a month just for their internet service. And so that delta between the cost and what you can charge, all while providing an excellent service for your community, is a major value add opportunity. And so that's something significant that can help a ton of owners. And then the second thing I'll say that we're exploring is dynamic pricing. So for those who are unfamiliar with dynamic pricing, what that is having price changes per day. It's kind of like buying an airline ticket. You log in today, it's $500. You log in tomorrow, it might be 515, and you log in later in the evening and it might be 625. So dynamic pricing is, again, a way to generate more income for your property. And so those are two items that we've been exploring, that are kind of creative value add strategies.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's very, very cool. I like that a lot. That's very interesting. And like I said, you guys are boots on the ground, so you're trying to find, creative ways on how to kind of milk that investment, make the best return for investors. Speaking of investors, for the people who kind of listening on the call, what's kind of like a typical deal structure for you guys? Are offering preferred returns and or straight equity? Like how you guys kind of operate your structure, or is it different deal by deal?
Every deal is different. What I would say, if a listener is interested in learning more, they should join our club at passiveinvesting.com. Happy to have a one-on-one conversation with anyone. I don't want to uh, speak out of turn here from an SEC perspective. So, we structure our deals in a very fair and reasonable way, and our investors are extremely happy. A lot of our investors invest in every single deal that we do. And so if someone's, truly interested in learning more about our track record and experience and would like to become an investor, just join our club. We'll set up a call with you, because, the whole piece of getting investors, and I hear this a lot from people, um, and our philosophy is, it's really a long-term relationship that we're after. We don't want to do one deal with one group of people. We want to do hundreds of deals and continue this for many, many years, because, the power of real estate, going back to that wealth factor, real estate can be a generational wealth engine for your family for the next 500 years if you set it up correctly. And so that's the core belief that we have for ourselves personally and our investors. And so we just want to build long-term relationships with people and create opportunities, to provide for our families, and create wealth, create income, have monthly cash flow distributions, so every single person out there can benefit from it.
Awesome. Yeah, just kind of learn more about kind of like your marketing and stuff from a syndicator side. Is there any tips as far as, I know you guys do a ton of educational events. You guys do a lot of webinars and stuff. Are you guys doing just more stuff on social media, or do you guys doing like physical meetups along with your, in-person events?
We do a little bit of everything, to build quality relationships. If any of the listeners are out there and they're looking at syndicating a deal, or they want to find a handful of investors to partner with on their first investment or their 10th investment, what I would say in terms of an order of how to get investors, it would be having face-to-face conversations. Zoom is one of those platforms where you can have a face-to-face conversation and get to know people better if you can't physically be in the same room. But the more that you can get in front of people, the better opportunity that you can build that relationship, get them to know you, like you, and trust you, and they'll become an investor with you. And that doesn't happen by one webinar. That does not happen by one phone call. That does not happen by one in-person meeting. You need to be having, 6 or 7 opportunities to get in front of people, to interact with them on really a one-on-one basis, because everyone's personal situation is a little bit different. And so having that time and knowing that you need to get in front of people 6 or 7 times to build that know, like, and trust component, those 3 components, is what's going to get you to kind of find those true investors that will invest in not only just one deal, but multiple deals with you.
Awesome. Your big event is the Multifamily Investor Network event. Is that already passed, or is that another one coming up? Just to keep people informed.
We have done 2 this year, and the easiest thing that people can do is just go to the next MFIN. and that stands for Multifamily Investor Nation, and that's our summit. So our other partner, Dan, will host that, and he's really in charge of kind of leading that and running it. And so we have the website nextmfin.com, and people can go there to get all the information about it. But it's just a great place to network with hundreds of people, to see over 100 speakers from the comfort of your home in one weekend. So it's just a great way to, build your real estate knowledge, expand your network, and, you have the opportunity to pick and choose what you want to dial into, what, seems interesting. And, if you need to take a lunch break or go for a walk, you can always step away and not feel obligated like you're at a physical conference to be there. So that's something that we do, and we always have in-person meetups and other things like that throughout the year too.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great to hear. Kind of learn a little more about you. What's kind of like a typical day for you, and do you have any particular morning routines?
Um, a typical day for me usually begins, depending on how, but I usually start my day with doing the tasks that are really important to me first. Um, so usually the first hour or two of my day is to do that. And then my wife and I will take our dog George for a walk, and we'll usually walk for 30, 45 minutes. And it's an opportunity to check in with her, see how things are going. What do we have ahead for the day? And then usually I will have breakfast, coffee, do that sort of stuff, get a physical workout in. But I break my day apart into two parts. And so the morning before noon is mine. And then anything in the afternoon, I kind of keep it available and flexible to do podcast interviews like this, or to take investor phone calls, or follow up on emails that I need to respond to people with. And I found that that's helped my productivity, where in the morning, I know that I'm just going to be focused on the activities that I personally need to get done. The highest value, most important activities get done first thing in the morning. And then the afternoon is available to, whatever fire drill may come up, or whatever, emails that I need to respond to. And I've found that that works. But I'm always working on trying to improve the time management aspect of my day, or being more productive. So I'm always open to trying new things and just changing it up. I think that's one thing that everyone should try to do, is just have some flexibility with your
Mhm.
schedule, and know that, hey, it's okay if I didn't do something first thing in the morning. I'll put an hour on my calendar for the afternoon, and I'm just going to get it done. So it's kind of where I'm at with it.
Awesome. Yeah, it was some great tips. So I really appreciate that. I always ask my guests a final question of, what are you most grateful for?
I am most grateful for having the unconditional love and support of my wife, Caitlin. And the reason that that is so important is because I feel like I am totally empowered and able to make decisions for our business, and balance out the personal life as well with what we do. And so having her in my corner always gives me the strength to make those hard decisions, or to, again, just stay relentless and focused on getting more deals, or working really hard and having a bunch of investor phone calls if we need to do that. And so that's what I am most grateful for.
Awesome. Yeah, it was, plus the wife will very appreciate that too as well. So
It'll
very
be a
good
nice
answer.
little surprise for her when she listens to this
Yeah,
one.
absolutely. Danny, it was great talking to you, learning more about your business. I'm glad we're finally able to connect. And like I said, you guys are crushing it, have a great business, and look forward to hearing from you in the future. Have a great week.
Dwaine, thank you so much. Have a wonderful week. And if the listeners ever want to reach out to me directly, then go to my personal website, DannyRandazzo.com. You can learn everything you want to know about me and even check out my podcast about money, mindset, and investing. So it'll be all right there in one place at DannyRandazzo.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for giving us that. And again, we'll be on the show notes and the podcast stream notes as well. Danny, have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, Dwaine.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at DwaineLClarke.com, as well as find us on Facebook for more useful content and resources.